Hello and welcome to the PowerFish podcast. I'm Ben.
And I'm Fish. We're going to get to a lot of stuff, but I wanted to open really quick with a new experience I've had. And no, it's not drugs, because we talked about that in a previous episode.
But you know, once we do, if we do, when we do.
Oh gosh, yeah.
We will be talking about that all over this podcast.
I honestly, that's one of the reasons. So we talked about it before I get to my thing. We talked about it before about how we were both at least somewhat interested, not in like being recreational drug users, but just to experience something new, right? And understand what people are talking about when they talk about things. But yeah, if I ever experience anything like that, I'm coming on here and we're going to be going through that experience. 100%. But no, nothing of the sort. I, yesterday, as of recording, went to, for the first time, a Major League Baseball game.
Who was playing?
The Cardinals. Cardinals in the.
Was this in St. Louis?
Yeah. See, I'm not a baseball fan, as you can really tell. I don't know who they were playing. It was Minnesota somebody. That's all I know.
Someone. All I need to hear is Minnesota, and they're like, "Oh, that's that team that there."
Yeah, they had a T in their logo. I don't know if it's like the Titans.
Is Titans? That sounds like a basketball team, but I don't know.
I don't know. Probably the
teacup teams. Minnesota Teacups. I sort of that. There's no way that's an actual team. Interesting. No. How many people were there? How big was the stadium and stuff?
My goodness. Okay, so first of all, parking nightmare. All right, just a nightmare.
Yeah. That's just professional sports.
So you've been, I'm sure, in downtown St. Louis.
Of course.
Yeah. So of course, everybody has. Right? Kidding.
Well, for people that live 2 hours away from it, that's a given. Yeah,
exactly. So downtown St. Louis, if you aren't familiar, it's a metropolitan downtown. It's not like it's New York, but it's busy traffic, high rises and whatnot. But compound that with it's the Cardinals' opening day. It's the opening day ceremony, opening day of the season, right? So, and one thing about opening day is that they do special things. Like it's like all the old, like not all of them, but a lot of the old like Hall of Famers come out. There was some old dude threw another ball to an old dude, and they were both, I guess, Hall of Famer dudes. I don't know. Somebody just got really offended, but it was. So that happened, and everybody was there. So parking was a madhouse. There's a whole story that goes along with it, but just to summarize, we were like blocks and blocks away on the 6th floor of a parking garage, and we had to walk there. And when we got to the stadium, right? So we walk into Busch Stadium, and just everybody that has ever been born was there. Everybody that has been born, and including everybody that has died, was there all at the same time.
All at the same time. And that's a ton.
And every single one of them, without
all
fail,
except me, I guess.
Everybody except you, and everybody there was drinking. So lots of alcohol, which whatever, that's your thing. It's not my thing, but it's
I think that's thing. Is that not like you don't, at least as far as I'm aware, you don't go to like a basketball pro game and see a bunch of people drinking. Is that just like a baseball and maybe like a football thing?
Yeah, I know football. A lot of alcoholics at football games. I'm just overgeneralizing there.
We'll have to ask. We'll have to see if European football, if they. I don't think that's a whole drinking culture thing.
I have no idea, but yeah, no. I ended up texting my mother because my mother was really curious how everything was going. She was like, "Hey, how's the game?" And I sent to her. I said, "Baseball is an excuse for alcoholics to hang out." Is what I said.
Oh, dude.
That's just
absolutely
a lot of sports, but
I was gonna say that's just things. So many different things in general. Yeah.
So it was packed. To summarize, it was absolutely packed. We had pretty high up in the nosebleed seats. We were actually, I think, one of the topmost seats. Good view of the field from where we were, but just way up high. And even up there, it was just wall to wall packed. It was ridiculous.
How much was it? How much was a ticket for one of them things?
I don't know. I was invited. Game? I didn't actually pay for it. I was invited by my girlfriend's mother and her family, so I didn't pay for my ticket.
Well, good deal. I imagine it probably wasn't that cheap.
No, probably not for opening day. Actually, that's a good question.
Cardinals opening day game.
Opening.
How well could you actually like see the game from way up there having
Oh,
a
so I
nosebleed?
could like you could see everybody. I think the only part of the field that I couldn't really see too much is the leftmost side of left outfield. So like at the
Mm,
very back corner of left field,
yeah.
I was a little cut off.
How fast do the pitchers throw them balls? I've heard 90-mile-an-hour plus.
I mean, I don't know because being there in person, there's not like somebody coming over the thing to tell you. There might have
Right.
been a screen somewhere I could have looked at. I just didn't know where to look. I heard
I know they
so
speed them, I'm
we
pretty
left the
sure.
game a little bit early. So we were listening to the game on the radio as we were pulling out of the parking garage, and I heard somebody talking about there was over 100-mile-an-hour fastball thrown.
Holy crap, dude. Can you just imagine 100-mile-an-hour ball just hitting you in the freaking
Might as
face?
well be a bullet at that point. I mean,
Dude,
shoot.
like cars ain't allowed to go that fast on the road and we're throwing balls that quick? That's
Balls.
crazy. Like, dude, I've seen people try to replicate hitting a ball at the speed that pros throw them, and they can't do it. People like you
Yeah.
and I, it's impossible. Like,
Yeah.
they start swinging basically as the guy is releasing the ball because it's going to get to them so freaking fast. And they just know, just right out of the guy's hand, they know where to swing for the. That's
Yeah.
so crazy. Like,
Yeah, and
these
then
pros,
you throw into the complication. You throw into the different kinds of throws you can do.
right? All the ways that they can spin them, they can make them fly around the stadium and go back to you with how much spin they put on those things. It's crazy. Like, dude, professionals are just at any sport, really. Professionals are just a different breed of human because you have to think a lot of these guys were in their young years, sometimes single digit age, doing this stuff. They go through puberty learning this stuff, which is
Yeah.
huge, I might add. Going through puberty while learning a skill is like the speed at which you learn something and it locks in when going through puberty is crazy.
You're right.
Like your body is building itself at maybe no other faster time other than infancy, and it's building itself in a way to adapt to this sport that you're playing, and then you stay that way. Like, it's, yeah,
No, it's insane.
you got to think these people have just lived on this stuff.
But it was
Crazy.
crazy. It was crazy though to see because you could see in real time the pitcher throw the ball and then it connects, and it was very fast. And then they'd hit it, and it's funny because a lot of baseball, at least this game. I don't know. I've only watched some baseball professionally on TV, and then obviously I went to this game, and that was about it. But I've heard this from other people, so I kind of know that it's true. A lot of those end in the balls getting caught because the loft on those things is so crazy. Because when you hit them up, and there's just so much air resistance that slows the ball down, but it's slowing down from 100 mile an hour, so
Right.
fast
If you
break.
you 40, yeah, if you slow down a ball from 100-mile-an-hour by 40%, it's still going 60 miles per hour.
What is this?
Which
Is
is
an interesting search.
Crazy.
What is the fastest baseball ever thrown?
Oh my god. Take your guesses. I'm going to say like 115. Well, hold on. We do know some stuff. We know a little bit about disc golf, and we know that Simon Lizotte has the speed record of 137 miles an hour or something like that.
Yeah, but that's
For fastest disc ever
That's a
thrown?
disc though. That's got
Yeah, a
the
ball is even
aerodynamics.
lighter.
Yeah, but
Oh, that's
aerodynamics.
true. The disc is trying to move as fast as possible.
Because the
ball's
beveled
fucking
edge is literally cutting the air as you throw it.
So it's probably less than the 130 miles.
I'd have to imagine, unless somebody's just a freak, has a freak of an arm throwing a baseball. I think
gonna
115 was
say, like,
pretty good.
Yeah, I'd say maybe 115. That's because that's just like, holy crap. That's
I'll
insane.
go 120 just to be different. Go 120.
Okay. See the results.
The fastest baseball pitch ever thrown in MLB history. Who holds the record?
So this is like in a game.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Now what's no. Of all time, I need it.
We
Well,
need an
here's
answer.
okay. So here's the fastest pitch ever thrown in college baseball was 105.5 miles an hour.
Huh. So we might be close. We might be close. We
What
might be
was
overshooting it by a little bit.
what about ever though? I want ever.
I wonder if we're overshooting it. Because if that's the fastest college, I imagine there isn't a whole much ton to be gained in terms of arm speed from
Right.
college to adulthood.
I'm seeing 106.
Oh wow. So like barely faster at all than college. 106?
That's what I imagine. I imagine it's a lot like when you get to the fastest running speeds for like let's say like a mile or something, like you're doing 1 mile. Who has the fastest
Yeah.
mile? Once you get to that incredible top level, the advancements are so small.
They're so huge in comparison to your competitor,
Yeah.
but in comparison to the entire picture,
It's like-
it's just
it's
a minute.
Yeah, it's like with those sprinting or running challenges, the amount it's broken by when a record is broken is like fractions of a second a lot of the time.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah. Just absolute tiny amounts. It's same thing with like swimming.
Yeah.
Like the records on these things when they get broken is just it's honestly with everything. It's swimming for total absolute just stupid uber geek nerds like myself. Speed cubing, that's a
Mhm.
thing. Solving a Rubik's cube as fast as possible. Fastest time right now is like 3 something seconds or something like that. But when that gets broken, it's usually like 0.1 or like 0.07 or 0.08 of a second. Like less than a tenth of a second faster than the previous record. And that's a huge difference. But
Yeah.
except
No,
when you
it's-
look at the whole time, it's
Yeah,
almost
it's
nothing.
enough. It's a difference enough to get you a new record, but you're just slivering them out.
Right.
You can only get so much faster.
It just goes to show we're like, how far until we're obviously getting diminishing returns when it comes to the peak of human achievement sporting wise today. Like,
right.
where does this, like the gains are only becoming less and less and less and less as time goes on because we are just so like the people that are doing these things are already just some of the most genetic freak people of their sport. Like how much better are we ever really going to
only gonna
get from what we already have?
It's only going to get better if we get genetically freakier people.
Right. Yeah. We're sort of limited at this point. Most sporting records, I would say, are limited by the genetics of people. Like no one's going to out practice their way into a 110 mile an hour fastball.
It's insane.
At least I don't
It's
imagine
insane to
that
even
ever
think about
happening.
it, something that fast.
Right. If you imagine a car driving past you at 106 miles an hour,
Yeah.
your next thing you're going to be is paint on a wall.
And to think, so like it doesn't happen probably so much at the pro level, but like batters have been hit with those balls before. I mean that happens. It's not.
Oh man, blindness is even at not in infinite speeds. People can go blind just by getting hit by a normal pitch. Hitting in between your eyes.
Yeah. No, that's insane. But yeah,
Right.
so baseball for the first time. It was interesting. It was cold, so it wasn't super enjoyable from that standpoint. And we're like way up high. But
I
the
don't
game
think
itself,
you probably just weren't screaming enough and yelling
or drinking
enough.
enough.
Or
Yeah.
drinking enough. That would eat you up. Yeah.
Wasn't drinking at all, so I certainly wasn't drinking enough. But yeah, I mean, the game is cool. I wouldn't say I walked away from that having found an appreciation for baseball, but it's a slow game because, like I said, So I don't know if you know much about the structure of baseball, but
Yeah, I know it's the rules. That's about it.
But you got 9 innings. You got
Mhm.
top of the ninth, bottom of the ninth. You top and bottom, and they switch sides in between. You'll go like a couple innings, several innings, handful of innings, and with not really any action. Nothing's really
Right, because most of the stuff that happens is like just barely enough for like one guy to get one plate.
Yeah.
Home runs are not really a common occurrence as far as I understand.
I think it depends on the players and depends on the game. We saw one home run. It was cool actually. They got big cannons came out and they're like there was smoke everywhere.
Oh really?
Yeah, it was.
That's like Wii Sports. They did
It was
that for
I could tell you who it was too. I remember. His name was I could tell you.
They don't sound like you remember.
Newt his last name was Newt Bar.
Newt Bar, like nut bar.
Yeah, Lars Newt Bar was his name.
Okay,
is his name.
That would be hilarious if his name was Mars, like the bar, the candy bar, Mars Nut Bar.
Well, and the reason I remember that, he got I want to say the only home run of the game yesterday, but I remember it was him because every time he'd come up to bat, so his name is Newt Bar, Nootbaar. Every time he'd come up to bat, everybody would go, Newt! Every time.
Dude. There's a freaking UFC fighter. His last name is Mayanus.
I can see where this is going.
So every time the announcer was saying, I'm pretty sure there's a thing on YouTube of a compilation of announcers just saying this guy's name. My anus is coming to the fucking ring. Like, holy cow. What a last name to have. That's some good stuff. Yeah.
But yeah, Newt Bar got a home run yesterday. It was pretty cool. It wasn't I think it was just him that got to run though. It's not like bases were loaded or anything. It wasn't a grand slam. But
dang.
But I mean that would have been sick. There was at one point I was actually paying attention. It was a little slow and a little boring at times. But I remember there was one moment where I was paying attention because bases were loaded. And which anybody who's not a fan of baseball, that just means that you've got a guy on each plate and then somebody's at the bat.
If you get a home run, that's 4 points for your team.
That's a game. So like the score ended, I think it was 5-3. So Cardinals won 5-3. Imagine you're sitting at 3 and you get a grand slam. I mean, that's
game winning. That's immediately
you
right
just
there.
About sealed the deal. So I mean, that's insane. So yeah, bases were loaded, and I don't remember who was up to bat, but ended up not being able to lock it in. Unfortunately, I think he got struck out.
How do they recognize? Well, I know the answer to this is because they're professionals, but how do they recognize so fast when something is a strike versus when it is a ball? If it's just barely outside of the strike zone, you know?
So actually, for anybody that doesn't know, you probably know it yourself, but anybody that doesn't know, limited understanding over here. So I could be freaking wrong, but between the knee and like the nipple is basically like your chest, but say your nipple.
Okay. But there's a vertical box, but there's also a horizontal distance.
So, that's determined. There's markings on the ground. I want to say, hold on, let me see. Batter. What would you call that? Batter area.
Strike zone markings, perhaps? I don't know. They always seem to know, like, even if it's on the edge of the area. Like, I know in post, they put this little helpful, like, box.
Yeah, there's literally a box.
Right. But, like, them in the moment, they always seem to just, like, know instantly if it was in or out. Like, and I'm always mind blown by that.
So the okay, I think this makes sense. So the horizontal width is literally the width of the plate.
Oh.
From the looks of it, yeah. Because there's
that's pretty easy then.
There's little boxes that where you like stand, the batter stands on either side if you're lefty or righty. And then the ball travels again between your knees and your chest. But within the width of the plate.
Dang, so you could be swinging. So some pitchers just straight up get more room to play with when they play against taller batters.
I don't.
That doesn't seem right.
Hold on. How is
like what if a pitcher's pitching to a midget? He's literally has to thread a needle to not.
Maybe
this guy.
it's a little more complicated than how I'm making it. How is the strike zone determined?
Huh. Yeah, that seems too variable.
The strike zone in baseball is the area over home plate with the top defined by the midpoint between the batter's shoulders and the top of their uniform pants, and the bottom by their knees.
So yeah. Basically.
So it is determined by.
Is it so? Actually, it probably evens itself out, because if you're taller, you get a taller zone, but it also means that you are taller and are more likely to be able to hit within that zone. If you're a midget, but the zone goes as high as above your head, but it's still a strike, you're just kind of screwed. Yeah. So I think adjusting with the height of the batter is actually right.
Right. But if you're taller, I guess that would mean there's more legal places to.
Right.
Yeah. So
it's just a bigger, taller strike zone.
I never really thought about it that way. That's really interesting. One thing that they were talking about a little bit, just like people, not like the announcers or anything, was a recent rule change, actually. So now I think it was, maybe either the pitcher or the batter can now challenge whether or not, like if something's called a strike when the batter thinks it was out, they can now challenge and go review footage.
Isn't it the ump man's call?
It is, but now it's you can challenge.
Oh, so they can challenge the umpire.
Yeah. Who? Let me look it up. Let me make sure I'm correct.
Interesting.
Who can? Hold on. I'll say rule change.
So before, the umpire was sort of acting as a referee,
right?
And now it's acting as just a guy that can call it, that can be challenged.
Right.
I wonder what. Surely something happened that led to a rule like that. I wonder if just some one too many fights happened.
Right. Well, this is a fascinating headline I just read. I was reading a word that said that. Okay. So a spring training's worth of automated ball strike challenge system. Automated. And it says, Are robot umpires coming to Major League Baseball? Robots. Interesting.
That could be, if it's simply to identify in or out. Honestly, like, dude, I mean, that could be good.
Yeah. So yeah, they I heard people talking about some people being able to challenge things or whatnot, but now I'm reading that there's something about robotic umps.
So batter challenges umpire. There's only 1 versus 1 here. Who's the deciding call?
Footage.
Okay, so that's what it would go to, is footage.
Yeah.
Okay.
And again, I'm assuming that's right, but
huh?
Oh, what does it say? Oh, potential adoption of ball strike challenge, video challenge. So I guess maybe that's not in it yet, but they're like planning to roll that out here pretty soon. That just kind of makes sense to me. I don't know. Everybody that I heard talking about this was really mad about it.
Really? What is the bad in removing human error here?
I assume breaking tradition. That's my only assumption. I don't know.
I mean, sure.
Maybe it slows down the game a little even more. I don't know.
I mean, I guess, but I mean, these baseball players are already watching baseball. Like, they watch a slow game.
Yeah.
Is it really going to be that much? I don't know.
And we're saying like, oh, it's a slow game. And as people try, we've watched disc golf, which is.
Oh, right. And our game ain't quick.
Our game is very slow.
Well, here's the thing though. Our game is sort of, I guess it depends on if you're watching live.
Yeah, live.
But if you're watching
slow.
Live is slow. If you're watching like post-produced, it's not slow. It's shot after shot after shot after shot after shot. It's not an action-packed experience if that's what you're looking for.
Right.
But I guess then you could also say the same thing of baseball is mostly throw after throw after throw after throw. It's just not much happens.
Yeah.
So like
I feel like
guess.
that's kind of, not that I'm a big football fan, but that's kind of the beauty of football. Is
Dude,
like there's
people
something
are always
happening.
smashing heads. Right.
Yeah, there's never not something happening.
And basketball and like especially hockey, like these are the low attention span viewing sports.
One of the things I noticed, so I was there with Cardinals fans, and it's Cardinals opening day. So I guess if I was going to be rooting for anybody, I guess it'd be the Cardinals
Against the teacups.
against the teacups, Minnesota teacups. So, but like whenever so when Cardinals are at pitch, so Minnesota at bat, Cardinals can't score a point. It's all about stopping Minnesota. That whole part of the game, which is literally half the game, felt very boring to me. I don't know, because it's like, I don't know, you're just like hoping that nothing happens. You're praying to God that nothing happens.
I mean, but when something starts to happen, that's what keys in suspense. Like you just watched bases loaded. Think about the other team, the people that were supporting the other team.
Yeah,
that's some suspenseful stuff. So
Yeah,
I could totally
away.
see it from both sides. Yeah.
I suppose. Yeah, baseball cool.
It is pretty cool.
Some,
I've never been super into
stuff that you wanted to talk
Yeah.
about.
There's a question that I heard that I thought was interesting. It was when does a drowning child not become important?
Wow, that's a way to start a conversation. Oh yeah, I saw this really cool thing. If a baby's dying, right, drowning to death, do you care?
Right. Yeah. Well, the context is I think it was like some really good philosopher like Peter Singer or something. Who, by the way, Peter Singer, we should talk about him more because he is the topic of endless fascination. He's kind of like the face of modern utilitarianism. He is a utilitarianist through and through. But anyway, I digress. The context is obviously if you're walking on the beach and you find a drowning child, the obvious thing to do is to stop whatever you're doing and go save the child. Anybody would do that, and you would be a moral monster not to.
Yeah.
So what if you were 100 feet away from the water, though, and you see the drowning child? It's like, okay, so what? Run an extra 100 feet, do it. Okay. But what if you're 500 feet away from the water? Okay. Then do you go save the child? And you obviously see where this is going.
Yeah.
Pretty much the distance becomes like almost irrelevant. People will say, go save the child. And then you ask, okay, someone knocks on your door to, donate $5 to save a child. Then it's like, you're not looked at as a moral monster if you just say no or something like that. It's like, where's the difference? What's the difference? Where's the line?
So here's my interpretation, right? I feel like, and I could be wrong on this, I feel like a lot of that people dismissing, people knocking on the door, it's not so much that they don't care about children. It's that people are inherently distrustful of how funds are used within charities.
100%.
And I think that's a big part of it for me. Now, I supported Sponsor Child for years.
Right.
And and I thought that was a cool experience. It was an expensive experience, but it was cool, right? But like that always kind of jaded me a little bit because I don't really know what's going on. Like they send you a letter every once in a while, and you'll get a little update and be like, "Oh, you're Umbungwe is doing pretty good. He got a goat. They got milk from the goat." You'd be like, "Sick. All right, Umbungwe. That's awesome." But other than that, you don't really know what's going on.
So let's just say, so I guess then if you don't want to run in to save this child because your $50 shoes will be ruined, obviously terrible, you're stupid.
Yeah.
Sacrifice the shoes, dude. But you don't want to spend $50 to save a child when someone knocks on your door. Let's take the distrust out of it. Then does that mean you would donate $50 every single time?
So
As many times as you would ruin your shoes to run in and save a drowning child.
So there's another layer to this. The other layer is my money actually going to do something? Not are they going to misuse my funds or something like that? But like I don't know, like if somebody knocked on my door and said there's a kid drowning right there, $50 somehow saves them, then you do it, right? Because there's a direct problem and solution.
Yeah.
But a lot of they knock on your door and they say children are suffering.
Right. It's not clear.
It's not clear, and it's not clear. Again, I'm not saying they're going to misuse it, but what is actually being gained? I don't know. I guess it kind of comes back to that. Maybe it is the same rebuttal, but
as I say, I think that kind of trickles back to the trust thing.
No,
So
but again, to drill down, if it was as simple as there is a child, they are going to die, $50 will save them. It's on you. You want to do it, then it's yeah. If that's a no.
Okay. I think anybody would.
Yeah.
But then what if there's an infinite amount of people behind them to do the same thing?
Right.
And when you're $300 million in debt, when do you stop?
No, that's the thing, and you have to.
And I'm not advocating for don't save children here. This is
Well, I am
experiment.
advocating for you have to take care of yourself. There's always going to be a problem that your money could help, but I do think it's good to give. I think people should give.
Right. Anybody. Yeah, I think everybody thinks that.
I do think it is criminally unfair that some people like myself get to live in a nice home and eat food every single day, and some people don't. That is unfair. That is
right.
The unfairness of it is I was born in America where that's less of a problem than it is somewhere else.
Some would even say godless.
You might just.
You might just. Yeah, it is we live in an unfair world. But so if you everybody that has a small chance of survival under the age of 10 right now. Who knows how many thousands, tens of thousands that is. Let's say you go. Let's just make up numbers here. Let's say there's 100,000 children under the age of 10 that have a very low chance of living past the age of 10 for any number of reasons. $50 per child. That is going to send you into most likely unrecoverable for the rest of your life debt.
Right.
Would you do it?
Here's the thing. Now, this doesn't make it okay. But the thought would, I think in any person's mind, the thought would come and you'd think, I could spend all the money I have and all the money that I will ever have on this batch of children, right? That are suffering.
Mm-hmm.
But is there going to be another batch? Right.
Yeah, but the ones that you save don't care.
That's the thing.
Maybe,
yep.
Maybe to some degree they do, but
that's where it's not fair. That's where it's like, I'm not saying it makes it right, but
all right.
Let me reframe the question to better answer the question actually posed. If the question posed was, would you give all the money you have and go into an infinite amount of dollars of debt and to save every child permanently? No more suffering. Then the answer is obviously yes. It
That's
goes back.
that's an easy yes.
It goes back to
Right.
that conversation we had. We just uploaded a short of it. The one guy internal suffering for everybody's
Happiness.
heaven.
Right. This
Happiness.
is kind of that on a smaller scale.
Yeah, you do it. You do it in a heartbeat. But
Right.
would you do it if those people, yes, absolutely, are going to be brought out of that, but it's only on a worldly scale a temporary solution to a larger problem. You've just completely destroyed your life to put a kind of a Band-Aid on a bigger problem.
Yeah, but
I know, but the people,
but it's
the
a
people
really big Band-Aid.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Right. That would be, I don't know, man. That would be a tough one. That would be a really tough one. If you declined the person at the door, this magic superhuman at the door that gave you this proposition, how would you is this something that you could go on being okay with denying that?
No, you're
I don't know.
you're
If,
screwed.
I don't know.
I mean, you're screwed either way. Either you're gonna save these people, and it's gonna be the greatest thing you've ever done in your life, and your entire life's gonna be destroyed because of it, or you're gonna hold on to your pennies that you've got, or whatever, however much wealth you've got. You hold on to your little grubby pile of gold, and children die.
Right.
And
I don't. Yeah. One of them you can't live with yourself, and the other one you can't afford to live.
Here's the thing that really will just send you up a wall and back down and up again, a couple times up and down. Here's the thing that'll really get you. There are people in this world that are wealthy enough to save countries worth of children and not be broke and still be wealthy. Now that'll put you in a mindset.
That makes you angry.
Yeah.
I'm not listen, I'm not the type of guy in the slightest to hate on people just because they are rich. Not at all. I will hate on people if they are bad people, regardless of their money. But at what point does misuse of your money make you a bad person? And I don't. Because I'm trying to let me pretend I have, $200 billion. I know that just by nature of me having that, the amount of people that would be asking for things of me would be never ending.
Mm-hmm.
So it would really be tough to just even think through who should receive money and who shouldn't. Because, we know that. I know people really love to hate, rich people.
Yeah.
But a lot of them do donate just copious amounts of money to a lot of things, or at the very least use the money to. Listen, I am not that much of a fan of Elon Musk anymore. I used to be a big fan of Elon Musk, but no matter how you look at him now, you simply have to be avoidant to pretend like he hasn't spent billions of dollars towards the progress of humanity, whether that's SpaceX or whether that's literally almost pioneering the start of EVs becoming more and more and more ubiquitous.
Right.
It started at Tesla, largely. So, the things he's done for humanity are certainly large. But, if he just tossed $1 billion at a country, I guess I don't really know how that would affect it if spent properly, but I imagine it would be pretty good.
I'm also not trying to hate rich people. That's not a good look. It's the same thing with hating on major corporations. Because at the
Right.
end of the day, people always say you gotta support local mom and pops. You gotta hate big corporations. They're the devil. But like that's if you're starting a business, the idea is to expand your business.
Exactly. If you started a business, just put yourself in these shoes. If you started a business, why don't you think to yourself, at what point do you say, actually, no, let me stunt the business's growth because I don't want more? At what point do you say that? You wouldn't.
Right.
You wouldn't say that.
Yeah.
So, and neither would they. And you can't just hate on them for simply the fact that they have these, insane amounts of money because
Right.
of it.
I'm sure there are some people that literally only want to open a local hardware store and they have no interest in franchising or whatever. I'm sure that exists.
Sure.
Actually,
Yeah, there
great
probably is people that don't want to scale.
little side tangent. So, have you ever seen the movie The Founder?
No.
Great movie. I highly recommend it. It's about McDonald's and how McDonald's was founded. And I don't you may be familiar with the story, but the McDonald brothers started the restaurant McDonald's.
Right.
And then Ray Kroc steps in and basically pitches the idea of franchising. And at least in the way it's portrayed in the movie, that it could be inaccurately portrayed. We can't get Ray Kroc on the phone; he's dead. But the way it's portrayed in the movie is that the McDonald brothers were very, very hesitant on expanding or anything of that nature. They wanted to continue with what was successful at a small scale and just make the best product and best experience they could. And Ray Kroc was very adamant on we need to expand, we need to develop the same products cheaper, general business stuff, just business idea
Yeah.
stuff. And this was where the idea, at least again, how it's presented in the movie, the idea of, hey, you can expand out and you can own the business and own everything, or you can. This is the idea of franchising. You can franchise and you just own the land and you collect the rent, and it becomes a real estate industry, and then it's just expanded from there. But the idea
Right.
of the movie being about how these guys, the McDonald brothers, wanted to stay small, and Ray Kroc took them to big places. So I'm sure, if assuming that's true, there are people much like that who just want to be good at a small scale. But I would say for most people who are ambitious, and not that these guys aren't ambitious, but are ambitiously want to expand their business, your end goal ultimately is to become a Walmart in a lot of ways. You want to just explode. You want to be incredibly wealthy.
Right. Who doesn't? Who
And
doesn't?
then, but you've probably, a tangent aside, you probably started out your journey being like, Walmart's awful. This is, they're undercutting me and this is awful. They're trying to drive out small business. Give it 20 years. When do you become the problem that you hated?
Right. And yeah, I mean, we're making a lot of assumptions here. Surely there's some people that don't. In fact, I know the fact is there are people that don't care that much about lots of money.
Right.
I find it hard. I do care about lots of money. I think lots of money would be pretty dope. But I do find it hard in the mindset that I'm in right now, not having lots of money. I do find it hard to imagine what the heck I would do with my money past the point of comfortability, and then plus 50% or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know what, I genuinely do not know what I would do past that. So
What was that thing you told it to me? It was that, somebody had a millionaire versus a billionaire, or billionaire versus a trillionaire, and it was like, you got to buy a yacht or whatever. Didn't you tell me?
well,
About
yeah,
that?
there's plenty of stories about rich people's mind or business owners' mindsets. You ask on a wide scale, if you ask just about anyone what their ideal endpoint when it comes to income would be, generally it's around 3 times what they make right now. And that scales up indefinitely.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one sort of issue, is people are short-sighted in that way, and they aren't going to be able to see that when they have more, they're going to want more past that. So that's why I premised it with my mindset right now. I can't imagine what I would do with more than that amount of money, because everyone says that at their current point. So, maybe that would change somehow. But also, in the same vein, there is a guy that has talked to millionaires, multimillionaires that have hundreds of millions of dollars, and gotten the opinions of them and why they keep going and why they want to then be a billionaire after that. He asked them, like, well, what the heck could a billionaire buy that you can't? And just one of the responses was a super yacht.
Right.
He can spend $500 million on a yacht, and I can't do that. That's all my money. Like, it just stupid stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't mind having a yacht, but also,
I mean, have you actually looked at like yacht maintenance costs?
I'm sure it's a lot.
It's not only are the salary, so these yachts are like, we know that they are huge. Like, these are little tiny cities.
Yeah.
So not only do you have to pay the salaries of multiple people to keep this thing going, but I think the fuel is like mind blowing. And just, like I said, the upkeep of these things is like, I'm pretty sure millions of dollars a year, which is insane. And especially considering a lot of them spend their time on, like, a third of their time on these things. Like, they're not even on them all the time.
Right.
I think yachts are some of the dumbest things ever. But
I mean,
maybe I'm just being a rich person hater.
I say, like, I would love to have a yacht. I'd love to have a yacht in the sense that I want to be wealthy.
Right.
But like,
we'd love to have the kind of money that we could comfortably buy a yacht.
Yeah. But like, if I was actually wealthy right now and somebody was just like, hey, you want to buy a yacht? No. Like, I want to pay my bills and be happy, which of course, if I'm wealthy, then that's not a problem. You know what I'd rather have than a yacht?
What?
I about went knowledge. No. More than a Lamborghini.
A Lamborghini here.
But no, what I would want more than a yacht is, I think, to donate to have children not starve to death. But that's me, right?
Like, that's exactly what I was getting at with, I don't know what I would do past comfortability plus of 25, 50, whatever percent past that. Like, if I made money past that, I feel like it right now, again, for me right now, it feels like it would be really easy to just give it away to stuff.
Yeah, but let's say all you need to do.
But again, that's just me right now.
Let me instruct billionaires what they need to be doing, because my opinion's worthwhile.
Yeah.
What you ought to do is you ought to get to a point where you're, obviously insanely wealthy. Your income is insane, right? However much it is, but it's insane. You set aside what you need to be comfortable, something to put back into your savings, because I mean, it's difficult to say, like, just don't save. That's difficult. But like, whatever you make, whatever you have to be comfortable, and whatever you put back for your whatever, what is the point of the rest of that money?
Well, that's the whole saving bit is when we talked about in our Simple Path to Wealth summary episode. We did discuss that if I had about $700,000 to $800,000 in a low risk investment right now, I could comfortably live off of that.
Right.
$700,000 to $800,000.
Right.
If you just instead say, okay, let me just put 10 million in there. Now you are comfortably rich. I would say comfortably. You are rich from the money that you have simply just put somewhere. You are rich.
I guess the approach I was taking doesn't take into account investments.
Right. Like,
then there's dude, when you get to this point, it's really difficult not to hate on rich people, I think.
It's exactly. It's hard. I understand it. I understand the hate that rich people get. I understand it. I'm not on board most of the time, but I understand it. But yeah. It's it is just hard to, because we, like I just said, it's so easy for us to imagine ourselves in their position and think ourselves so much more righteous than they. It's so easy to do that. But, and yeah, who knows?
I mean,
we
yeah,
were
like if
actually in
somebody
their position.
handed you a couple $1 million right now, and then they were like, or like you won the lottery or something, and then people were like, "Oh, you're gonna give a good portion of that to charity, right?" What are you gonna say? Are you gonna? Because a lot of people say that, and I always kind of scoffed at this. And maybe this is me being hypocritical because of how I've been talking in this conversation. But a lot of people said like, oh, you know, like the conversation. Oh, if you won the lottery, like a big jackpot lottery, what would you do? And people are always like, they always say, well, I'd start by giving half to charity, and then blah 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 blah. That's what people say. And I always
that's what people say. But the amount of stories you hear of people winning the lottery and then becoming broke,
yeah,
is insane. So people say that, but as soon as they get, that's why I'm saying all of this. As soon as these people get placed in these positions, they are just as bad. Maybe we would be too.
Let me tell you this. If I were to win the lottery, a major lottery, that'd be the scariest day of my life.
Whew.
Dude, like if you just got sat down with $100 million, that would be the scariest day. Because immediately, like, of course, your first thought is like, "Oh my God, what do I do? This is ridiculous." I would like to think my next step is, well, I don't know. Well, I guess I'd need to understand how this even works at this point, and then also maybe talk with an advisor of some kind. I got financial advisors in the family I would talk to, but then I would be putting this money into savings in some sort of investment.
Right, like you and I know that. Just 1 million, you and I could be comfortable off of what that would produce.
I would like to think, you know, if I got just a boatload of money just set in my lap, I would do the best thing for it and for myself. But then again, you hear all these people who are just blow it. They're just
right.
I said, I don't think that's me. But
I don't think that's me either. But everybody says that is the thing. So like, we don't know. Something. I imagine the dopamine that you get at the moment of news you are now, you know, filthy rich, is probably a dopamine level that is simply unachievable in normal life. Like you're going to be chasing that high. That's probably part of it, is why these people go broke, is they're probably chasing the high that they got when they got the money by spending it.
Now
and they're never going to be able to get to that high again.
They're going to relive the high by spending the money.
Right, getting things, but getting things is fun. Having things is not fun. In the famous words of Andrew Tate. But it's true.
I've never heard an Andrew Tate quote I agreed with, so I suppose that's true.
There's one of them for you. A broken clock is right twice a day. Yeah, and I have this written down in my notes. This kind of all leads into another concept that makes me... I've always been the type of person to just want to start something, whether it be a business or just something. And like this podcast, like I wanted to start something. Originally, the idea was not this podcast, but it landed on this podcast. I just want to start stuff. I want to do stuff. I want to, even if it is not advantageous in the end.
Right.
And I heard this quote. Actually, I don't think it's a quote. I think it's a story from a book. But the gist of it was, if this sums up why I'm so comfortable taking big risks with things like that. If the quote is, if you, let's say if you're in your house and you realize that there's like some mystery to discover, and you go out on a long, expansive journey that takes a long time to go find this mystery. And then as you learn more and come to more clues and find out more stuff, you realize that the mystery was back in your house, back at your backyard. So are you the same person? You started and ended at the same place and you're in the same place, but are you the same person?
No, the journey changes you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you start something and fail and end up right back where you started, you're not the same person. Not at all. There's still obviously something to have been gained. So that's why that kind of sums up why I'm so comfortable with taking risks, because I'm so okay with ending up back in the same spot with nothing to show for it, because I know that you're not the same person afterwards.
There is something to be said, and you and I have had many conversations like this. There is something to be said for a little bit of caution, because like you hear this with people, like people. This is a bit of an extreme situation, and you and I are both not like this. But people who are like, I'm going to quit my job and be a game streamer. I'm going to make it streaming.
Right.
And that's just stupid. So it's
we have not
to,
quit our jobs.
Yeah, it's not to say that, and I would surrender the fact that you're probably more motivated than I am in that particular regard. I'm a little bit more. What was the word you used? It pissed me off in the moment, but you were right. Risk averse. I'm more
probably
risk averse.
Something like that.
Just
risk averse. Yeah.
But I mean, that's and that comes from a lot of skepticism on my part, just in general life, very skeptical of things, and just like I said, risk focused. Now, that's not to say that I'm not willing to push myself out of my comfort zone to achieve something or what have you, but anything that I do, try to do it with a level of caution to be safe, and that's kind of where I stand. But I would agree, though, having said that, in general, because I mean, we talked about it recently with how challenges build the person you are. You discover yourself through hardship, and what better way to discover hardship than follow your passion? Yeah,
right.
To express your passions, to take risks, and really get down to what kind of a person are you in the tough situations. So I think in that regard, it's really good, so long as you've got a healthy bit of caution behind you.
Right. There's a difference between taking risks, throwing yourself into some form of confrontation or adversity or hardship and difficulty, and throwing yourself off a bridge.
Yeah.
Like there's certainly a layer of sense that you have to apply to it.
Well, so in another way, I mean, it's really easy to kind of poke fun at I'm going to quit my day job and become a game streamer. In another aspect, it could be, I'm going to take out a $20,000 business loan and start my business.
Right. That is a risk. But here's the thing. Big businessman Alex Hormozy, I believe he's like a multi-millionaire now with a lot of businesses and he's a big guy now. But I think he said his first 9 businesses, his first 9 startups all failed.
Right.
Now, granted, Alex Hormozy is a phenom. Like, he is the type of guy that if he is not working every moment of his existence, he's not living. Like, he is a phenom. Not everyone is like that. This guy is a 1 in a million. But it just goes to show most people that would probably get disheartened after business 2 or 3, that doesn't mean it's the end. There's more work to be done there.
Right.
This guy failed business 8 and was still learning. Mm-hmm. So, it just goes to show that I am certainly a person that is welcoming risk.
Right. Yeah, and I like to think I would do the same. Because it's one of those things, and it depends on my level of passion with a project too, or my level of, like, I don't know, like I brought up an example of a hardware store. Like if you approach me tomorrow and we're like, let's open a hardware store, You know, like I'd have that face. I'd be
Yeah.
like,
A
I'd
hardware
love to work
store?
for myself. I'd love to put my nose to the grindstone, as they say, but shoot, I don't know about that, Chief. You
For a
know,
yeah, I don't know about a hardware store.
but
Yeah, like
I
there.
mean, I think if there's a lesson to be gained from this, and it's a lesson I think that's important for anybody who, you know, is wanting to start a business. I think you should take the first steps in that. I don't think you should this is me talking. I don't think you should necessarily day one you have this idea, go out and get your business loan and start doing something. I think you need like I said a lot of healthy caution, but I do think it's worth it if you have an idea or a passion. Maybe you know your demographic. Maybe a hardware store is good. Maybe you don't got a
Right.
lot of hardware stores in your area. I don't know.
Who knows?
I don't know why I'm picking
That's
on
that.
hardware
I would
stores.
say.
I think it's actually.
You're really
I
needle
know.
nosing on them.
I think I know why I'm picking on hardware stores. It's because a family friend is looking to inherit a hardware store from his dad or something. I heard about that through the grapevine in my family or adjacent families. So, but anyway, that's
But on
that's
your point of not, you have an idea, go take out a 5-figure loan. True. Don't, put yourself in a hole based on something that hasn't been scrutinized. Certainly. But that is also to say, don't fall into the trap that I think most people that have ideas fall into, which is paralysis.
right.
They are essentially making sure their idea is going to bear fruit, but so far past that point to where they're not really gaining much, and the only way they're going to learn anything more is by just trying and starting and doing something.
Right. And so this kind of goes back to conversations you and I have had. So your interpretation of my hesitation was usually paralysis. It was the way
Right. Well, yeah, I would say yeah.
Mm.
I can't remember any one specific conversation, but probably yeah. If it's something
Right.
on this note, I imagine I would have come to that conclusion.
And
just knowing you.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily disagree with that, and I never really did. I put up a bit of an argument when we talked about it originally, and I don't necessarily disagree. I do think so. Like, just to get it out there, you and I had many conversations about what starting a business would look like and how we would want to approach that. And of course, I was always like, "Hey, I'm on board if it makes sense." And you would say something to the effect of, "Well, what does it mean to make sense?" And I would say, "Well, we know the product, we know what we're going to do, we know the demographic, we know the." And I would go through these list of things that I think you ought to know before you really start putting money down on the table. And you would say it was part of that was paralysis, and I don't dispute that, but I think I don't know the point I'm trying to get at here. I don't know. I guess the point is I'm not paralyzed. Damn it, that's my point.
You don't have paralysis.
I don't have paralysis. I do, however, have paralysis when it comes to certain decisions.
Well, I think
feel
it's
like I'm
just
getting- I
if
feel
I
like
think
I'm
if it
getting better
involves
about that,
money
though.
with you,
Yeah,
it's-
so there's
it
something
really injects that.
So there is something in me, to get on a personal note, there is something in me that is, maybe it's that loss averse conversation. I want to find the best deal. I want to put a lot of thought and research into something if I'm going to be putting money down on the table when it comes to a certain thing, certain investment, either whether it be an investment or just a product or whatever. And that kind of extended into the conversation of businesses, because I could, we could have a conversation and we could have a loose idea and we could say, all right, go. And I'll put, $5,000-$10,000 down on the table. But, and and this is the other thing about business, and it's tough. There is never going to be a guarantee you'll see a return on your money. Just about never, unless you're already big. Right.
Right. Yeah.
But that doesn't make that initial investment any less scary. And I guess
Right.
you could call it paralysis, but I think that's where it comes into
It's
a little bit.
Well, paralysis via fear of loss. Really.
Right. So it's like it's not that I'm unwilling, and this is me again on a personal note. It's not that I'm unwilling. It's that I want the clearest picture we can get. Right. I want, again, to know the plan, know the product, know how we're going to deliver on our expectations. Um, and in my opinion, that's better than balls to the wall, throw money down on the table and see what happens. Right.
Right. But it becomes, well, I've got two things on that. First one is the way that I frame that in my mind is I will spend money on, in fact, I have spent a lot of money on books for the sake of knowledge.
Right.
I will spend money on experiences for the sake of knowledge.
Mhm.
The way I see it is if you do end up in this unfortunate scenario of, going out to find treasure and ending up back at your house with nothing to show for it, I have simply spent money for experiential knowledge,
Right.
just like I always would. So it is, of course, there's a limit. I'm not going to take out a 7-figure loan.
Right.
But it is easy for me in that way. And secondly, what was I going to say secondly?
Probably something stupid.
I don't know, but yeah, that's that's yeah, probably. That's how I see it. That is why something that requires a risk like that would be so easy for me.
And it's an interesting
I'm buying knowledge.
And
like
it's
I
an
always do.
interesting proposition at that, or an interesting idea. Likewise, somebody who maybe doesn't spend money on knowledge, they might spend money on entertainment, right? And in a lot of ways, you could see that that's throwing money away just for an experience. I guess you could also frame it in that way and say, well, if you truly want the experience of starting a business and seeing how it goes and maybe learning from your mistakes, it's not unreasonable to take that risk. Kind of basically reiterating your point, just in a different framework. Entertainment, much like knowledge, is something that is simply not going to recuperate your money, but it's still
it might
investment.
As I say, it might, but probably at least the first 1, 2, 3 times is probably not going to come free.
Right. So that's why in the position I am in right now, obviously we have this podcast, and I think it's, I mean, if we're being honest, I mean, a podcast and any sort of creative media like that, especially in the age of YouTube and advertisers and things, is in itself could be viewed as a financially motivating endeavor. It's not for us.
I was gonna say, we're certainly not.
Yeah,
especially right now, considering we're like a year in with pretty much nothing to show for it in terms of that regard, because that's not why we started it.
Right. We started.
It is simply just fun.
Yeah, it's fun. We started it.
That ain't saying we wouldn't take money.
No, I mean, if anybody's watching that has a business already and they want to sponsor, we'll do sponsors, but we'll read your ads. We'll do our own. I see some people do their own ad reads. Like they kind of get bullet points and then they just kind of ad lib. That'd be fun.
That would be fun. I wouldn't mind that. Yeah. You and I are salesmen. We would absolutely know how to do that.
Exactly. But yeah, I think to put a bow tie. Is that the word? What is the thing that goes on top of a present?
Well, there's a bow.
Okay, not a bow tie. A bow tie. Okay, so to put a bow, not a bow tie, unless you want to put a bow tie on your presents, but to put a bow on this conversation, my, I guess, overarching point would be, I think healthy caution is good, but I am learning as the days go on that life does not come without risks, or anything good in life doesn't come without risk, I should say. Life does come without risks for certain people, and a lot of people generally feel unfulfilled. I think if you want, for a lot of people, not everybody, true fulfillment, whether it be owning a business, starting a business, or just ambition required to climb a corporate ladder and achieve success in that regard, it comes with risks and it comes with discomfort. And I think that ultimately that's for the best.
Right. Well, let's end it with a bit of a game, a question that I saw somewhere on the internet. Well, I'll ask you and we'll get your answers first, because I need help with mine anyway. So if each one of your 5 fingers on one hand could pour out any drink. What would your 5 drink selections be?
Does it have to be drinks or can it just be liquid?
I would say liquid. Because we could get into like some sort of alcohol mix, and that's technically a few different drinks, but just to avoid that minutia, let's just say any form of liquid.
Okay, let me ask one more clarification. Does the liquid have to be consumable? Let me ask you why. Okay, give me your answer.
I was gonna say we'll say no, but that's also weird.
Okay, well you're not going to think it's weird after I tell you. One of them would be
enlighten me.
One of them would be gasoline.
Oh, yeah. Okay, maybe.
So I don't know which one that would be. I guess something I would use infrequently. Maybe pinky. Maybe your
pinky would be gasoline.
I think index finger, water. That's probably good.
Right. Sure.
You gotta have water.
That's good. So you can do this nature to squirt out some water gas.
Exactly. Well, shoot. I mean,
you only got 2. You got 3 to go.
Yeah, one of these 3 guys is going to be a DC or of some variety.
Oh
DC
man, you got
a Diet Coke.
You gonna flip people off with the DC?
I mean, I might hit him or that or. See, that's the thing is I don't want to commit to DC because I mean, Diet Dr Pepper is delicious. I mean,
DDP is also incredible.
DDP is delicious. I could put the.
I mean, you could use 2 fingers for that, and then you just got 1 left.
No, but
a DDP and a DC.
I mean, shoot. I feel like one of them should be something milk related. I don't know.
I was thinking milk. Yeah.
I was thinking just
or
milk.
Even just chocolate milk.
I don't think you'd do chocolate milk though, because you'd want it to be versatile. Because you could always just
you can't unchocolate your chocolate milk, but you can chocolatify your non-chocolate milk.
So maybe water, some sort of soft drink. I don't know which one. Milk, gasoline, and then what other kind of liquids do you need in your life, really? I mean,
we got juices, we got other sodas, we got teas, bro.
Ooh, coffee.
Some sort of caffeination, you know?
Yeah. Maybe that's my 5. Maybe that's coffee, water.
You got to pick one.
I'm going to go with a Dr. Pepper, a Diet Dr. Pepper, and there's a reason for that.
Yeah, DDP, okay.
And there's a reason, because Dr. Pepper is like the middle ground between a cola and a root beer.
So you think you'd maybe get enough of your fix of each to survive off of that?
Yeah, yep. And then milk.
And then water to counteract the dehydration.
Exactly. And then milk, and then gasoline. Those are my 5.
Okay. That's a pretty good list. I think I would go.
Before you speak, I'm gonna piss my pants. Hold on.
You've been drinking too much of that finger water.
I know. Yeah, I know we're about done, but no way that was going another 5 minutes. I'll tell you what. All right, what is your?
Let's get
5?
into my answers. My 5 would be I gotta have milk.
Milk on the thumb, though.
I mean, suckling on the teat, isn't it? I'm saying.
Yeah. I was thinking about if I'd rearrange mine, but I don't know. Well, let me hear yours out. I'll see if
I think I'm gonna go milk, water. Like, water is just an obvious one. You can't. Who's gonna be making this list without water?
Right.
Milk, water. Dude, you and I are not very diverse. I think I'm going to go perhaps a PZ, Pepsi Zero.
All right. I see that.
Because I do love myself some PZ. And then I was kind of thinking orange juice because I really like orange juice. But and then the last one has to be some sort of caffeination. You know what? We're replacing PZ with a DPCF, a Diet Pepsi caffeine free.
It's a good idea. That's a really good idea.
Because I also know I like those too, and I would like a soda that I can drink whenever. So I'm gonna go with a DPCF. Lastly, I think I'm gonna do what you're doing. I love some coffee.
Mm.
Like I said, we're not diverse. I think our biggest change here, outside of the soda, is gonna be I like orange juice a lot.
Orange juice as opposed to what did I put instead? Gas.
Gasoline.
Yeah. I'm gonna propose a little bit of a switch up. Same ones, but instead of gasoline here, I'm gonna put gasoline on the thumb.
Okay.
I'm kind of debating not going with gasoline anyway. But let me think through this. Gasoline here on the thumb, and milk's here if you recall. Coffee here.
Coffee
So
pinky. That's good.
Well,
yeah, that's what I did.
Well, so if I want, here's the thing. So if I want a little bit of milk in my coffee.
That's a good idea.
You know, get a little both action going.
I'd be going like this for my coffee, for my milked coffee.
Which you could do that, but that's not intuitive.
Something like that. I don't know. Yeah, that's a good idea. That combo. All right, so final answers. I think I'm going to... You're good with that. You're good. I think I'm going to go orange juice, water, a DPCF, a milk, a coffee. I think that's a good lineup.
I'm starting to really regret going with gas though, because here's the thing. You know what? Here's the reason why I would back off this entirely. Right now, it's free gas. That's saving me money, right?
Of course.
But 20 years down the road,
the way I was thinking about it, I can probably make up the gas with selling some of my drinks.
Yeah, but also I'm probably going to own an electric vehicle at some point in time anyway.
Oh, right. That's not very future-proofed, is it?
Which makes gas kind of almost irrelevant.
Right.
I might need to rethink what's going on my thumb here real quick before we head out for the day. If I was going to take gas out of the equation? So we've got water, a Diet Dr. Pepper. We've got milk coffee. But the thumb, though, you're on to something with the juice, I think.
I was thinking either a juice or a tea, to be honest.
Well, but I've got the coffee, and I don't like tea that much. Tea's good. I'll drink a tea if it's in front of me, but it also depends on the coffee, I think, because I don't know.
We'll just assume instead of inserting a brand, we'll just say it's really good black coffee.
It's good to me black coffee.
Right, yeah. Just to get rid of that variable.
Shoot, man. A part of me really wants to go something non-beverage related because I've got beverages covered here.
I mean, what else is there to go with? What is a common, like, you're not gonna be putting toxic waste up in your thumb?
No, that's not. It's not
like,
that's not good for anybody.
Other than gasoline, what's a non-drinkable fluid in society?
That I would use on a regular basis.
Right. There ain't a lot non-drinkable fluids that we use in it.
Could put a Gatorade up in there. But is that too close to like a water situation?
I was gonna say, if I'm looking for hydration, I think water is going to be that versatile option. If I can put like an electrolyte pack in my water So like, instead of just going with Gatorade.
Shoot, I feel like this would be easier if I only had 4 fingers. This 5th finger is really giving me a problem.
This is
isn't it?
decision paralysis.
It's decision paralysis. I don't know what to put there, man. I mean, orange juice sounds incredible.
Is there something? I did that just because I'm a big orange juice fan.
I love orange juice. I love it. I love it so much.
Dang. What I mean, our list's gonna be basically the same, other than sodas.
I know, but I'm backing off of the gasoline idea, but I don't know where to back off to other than orange juice because I freaking love it. I don't have enough orange juice in my day-to-day life.
It's a good thing to. It's really just good in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Good morning drink.
Because I don't like apple juice. I'm not big on apple juice. It makes my stomach hurt.
Yeah, like I'm so on it. I like it sometimes, but I haven't had it in probably a couple of years.
And I don't drink any alcohol because I know a lot of people who drink are going to be like, well, shoot, one of them's got to be a something.
Someone would probably put like a really good like mixed drink, like a margarita, something or other.
Right.
That isn't.
Which I just have no interest in that. That's a real ponderer. All right.
Well, here's what is something that you could put that would benefit the people around you the most? What do you think the general population?
On my thumb.
Yeah, suck on my thumb.
Are we missing something? Ooh. My mind went to like not this specifically, but like something medical, like Pepto or something like that.
Some Pepto-Bismol.
I mean, come on, like something. Is there some? Well, what is something liquid that could be used in a medical situation?
Well, I mean, you can put a whole bunch of things through an IV bag.
Yeah, but you're not gonna like.
You're not gonna inject it into their bloodstream. Shoot, man.
Is there some sort of like? Well, no, that wouldn't really work.
Some like
supplement, something. Could you like a protein shake kind of guy?
Oh, some like just like some whey formulation.
Yeah, but at the same
but
time,
I feel like I could. Yeah, you've got water or milk that you can just add to it to get that protein. I don't know, man.
How about this? How about we say this? I'm gonna do some thinking on this for a week, and if
we'll come back to this.
If
Finger number 4. What's the thumb?
Or if you are absolutely just dying to hear what's gonna go inside my thumb, you're gonna have to come back next week.
Yeah, come back next week to get that answer, and also let us know what your 5 fingers would be, because clearly you and I are not very creative.
No,
given our answers being nearly identical.
Right.
And if y'all have any games similar to this one that you want us to kind of play, this isn't really a game, but it's a sort of a game style question
to break from the serious discussion.
Right.
Something a little more.
If you have anything creative, let us know, and we'll do it
for us.
Yeah, please just do it for us, and we'll do it probably. So let us know, and we'll see you next week.
See ya.